Annie and Stella were very good friends. They grew up together and also attended the same school together till they both graduated. The love in their friendship brought their family close and everyone cherished their friendship. After graduation from the university, Annie was very lucky. She got married immediately after school and her friend Stella was there for her during her wedding, and it was a memorable day. Shortly after the wedding, Annie relocated to another city with her husband Mr. Thomas. Reaching the new city with her husband, Annie embraced her new life immediately and kept distance with her family and friends. Stella became worried of Annie's new behavior. One afternoon she reached out to Annie to check on her but was met with a total shock. Annie opened up and said without remorse, "Stella, I'm married now and you are single. I can't keep our friendship anymore. I only want to keep friendship with married women like me." Stella was surprised by Annie's words. With tears on Stella's face she asked, "To Annie, my friend, tell me you are joking. We have been friends for years and have built something strong. Even our family knows each other." Annie responded again, "I'm sorry Stella, we are now living a different life. I am married and you are single." Stella left with no choice but to accept what her friend Annie has said and move on. She went on a job hunting and got a job in the bank. After she got her job, she never stopped praying for her own husband to locate her. Exactly 1 year after, she met Mr. Connor, an oil monk who based in the United States of America. Connor had problem with finding a loyal and good woman in the States, so he came in search of a wife in his motherland and met Stella. When he came to their bank for transaction, he saw Stella as a perfect match for his life. After a few meetings, without hesitation he asked Stella to marry him. They got engaged and did their wedding in few months after. Annie heard the news that her friend Stella has gotten married, and surprisingly to an American-based man who is into oil and gas. She rushed to call her on the phone. Stella picked and asked, "Who is this?" Annie replied, "It's me, Annie, your friend. I heard you got married but you didn't inform me." Stella replied, "You cut off our friendship because of your marital status." She said, "Forgive me Stella and let's forget the past. Let's look forward to a new beginning, to our friendship for prosperity and happiness." Stella, with an open heart, was very happy to hear from her friend again after such a long time. Stella became pregnant as the husband was about leaving, and this made the husband more happy. Stella's husband stayed for 6 months before going back to the US. During one of the festivals, Annie's husband was traveling to visit his family in another state when he had a serious car accident and died immediately, leaving Annie with the 2 kids all alone. Annie would cry every day how she would cope all alone with the kids without her husband and the life of a single mother. Stella reached out to her upon hearing the news of her husband's death and commensurate with her. Shortly after the mourning phase, Annie would call Stella every day to complain how life has been difficult for her and the kids. One fateful day she called Stella as usual, but this time to make a request. She told Stella that things have been tough for her and the kids, and their house rent has expired and the landlord had already asked them to leave the house. She then pleaded to Stella to allow her and the kids to come over to her house to stay for a short period of time before she get a job and look for own apartment. Stella, being a soft-hearted friend, accepted to help her. They came and were living with Stella in the mansion her husband bought for her. Not too long, Stella was put to bed and she gave birth to a baby boy, but her husband couldn't come home immediately due to his tight schedules. 7 months later, Stella's husband came to surprise her and the new baby boy, but when he came and met Annie and her kids in his house, he was not too happy because he wasn't told, but Stella had to beg her husband and explained her friend's situation to him. Reluctantly he accepted, but for only short period. When Annie finally saw Stella's husband, she was full of admiration and jealousy. She was bittered how Stella could be that lucky to have such a handsome and successful man. With her greedy and envious heart, she decided to visit a witch doctor to help her have Stella's husband to herself. "Oh yes," the man asks her. "Are you sure of what you want me to do for you, Annie?" She replied, "Yes, Baba. I want Stella's husband to fall in love with me." Without hesitation, Baba helped her to bewitch Stella's husband to love Annie and to detest Stella instead. She came back and rubbed the substance given to her by Baba on her face. When Stella's husband saw her, he immediately got attracted to her and they began to date secretly. Still not satisfied, she went back to the witch doctor again to cast a spell so Stella's husband could take her and the kids along with him to the United States of America. This was done also, and he made all the traveling documents for them all without Stella's knowledge. Stella came back from work one evening and was met with an empty house and a note written to her saying, "Stella, we have all moved to America. I found Annie to be my missing rib and I would advise you to move on with your life and the kid." With a great shock, she called her mom on the phone. While they were still talking on the phone, Stella fainted and woke up in the hospital thereafter. Family and friends rallied round Stella, comforting her always. With the love and care shown to her, Stella was able to move on with her life, but always recounting her mistake of allowing her devilish friend back into her life. Annie had barely settled down in America with Stella's husband when something shocking happened. The FBI came to raid their apartment and the man was arrested along with Annie. He has been lying that he is into oil and gas to everyone and has been on the FBI watching list for some time now for involving in an internet fraud. The trial took some time, but he was found guilty of all the charges and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. As for Annie, she was deported back to Nigeria with the kids empty-handed. One fateful evening, Stella was cleaning the basement of the mansion because she hasn't done that for long and suddenly stumbled upon a bag of foreign currency with a note written, "I'm deeply Stella, you have been everything I ever wished for in life and I'm glad I have you as my wife. I am not perfect as a man, that's why I didn't take you with me to America because I want my family to be safe in case things turn bad for me. This money is enough for you and the kids to be happy in life. Use it well and establish yourself in a lucrative business. Thank you. Your husband, Connor." She became more happy and promised to visit the husband one day in prison to show to him she still loves him irrespective of the past.